So the other day, I took a poll on my channel to check in with my followers and see how many of you have made it a goal to buy less and save more money in 2025. And a whopping 90% of you said that you plan to set those goals for yourself in the year ahead. And I got a lot of comments requesting that I make a video on how to do a no-buy or a low-buy challenge. And I was super excited to read those results and comments because, as it just so happens, I was already planning to do a low-buy year. This is actually something that my husband and I were chatting about the other day as we were making our lucky New Year's Eve dinner. And while we were rolling and wrapping the yummiest steam buns ever, we came up with a pretty good list of rules, exceptions, and things we're not going to buy this year. We've done a ton of successful no-buy and low-buy challenges in the past that have helped us reach so many financial goals, from paying off $25,000 worth of student loan debt back in the day, to saving up for nice vacations, as well as being able to afford to buy a house. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite tips and strategies to help you have your best and most successful low-buy year ever. Let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing that I want to touch on is what is a low-buy year and how it might be different from a no-buy year. The biggest difference is in the level of restriction. A no-buy is a stricter version of a low-buy with the goal of eliminating all non-essential spending on items for a set period of time, while a low-buy challenge offers you more flexibility to choose which categories you want to cut back on and if and how much you can spend within each of those categories. The reality is that even when people talk about doing complete no-buy challenges, it's almost impossible to completely eliminate spending money entirely if you're a human being who is alive, breathing, eating, pooping, and paying bills on this planet. But that being said, a no-buy challenge is going to be stricter than a low-buy challenge because you're trying to eliminate almost all non-essential spending outside of the stuff that you need to live and pay bills and whatnot. I personally feel that doing a one-year no-buy would just be too restrictive for us as a family. We've done 30-day no-spend challenges before, and I'll be sure and link some of those videos and playlists from past no-spend challenges that we've done down in the description box below. But I think it would be an unrealistic expectation for us to try to cut spending on everything for an entire year, which is why we're personally opting for a low buy instead of a no buy. But even if you're planning to do a super strict no buy year, you're still going to have non-negotiable expenses that you have to spend money on. Things like rent and car payments and bills and groceries. And we will dive more into this topic a little bit later in the video. So now I want to dive into the steps that I like to take when I'm preparing for a low buy or a no buy challenge. And the first step is to audit your spending. This is something that I think that I do a little bit backwards as compared with other people who talk about no-buy and low-buy challenges, but I like to start with auditing spending first rather than goal setting because it allows you to kind of zoom out and see the bigger picture of your spending from more of like a bird's eye view. And that can help you spot trends, habits, and weaknesses in regards to your spending, which in turn will help you pinpoint which money habits you need to change going forward. Now, I use a budget planner and I track all of our expenses on paper with the 50-page minimalist budget bundle that I created myself. And then at the end of the year, that makes it really easy for my husband and I to sit down and go across how much we spent across the various categories and how we want to adjust our spending in the year ahead. So while we were discussing this, I jotted down some major expenses that we had over the last year that kind of ended up costing us a little bit more than we would typically spend. The first of which was purchasing a house. So we moved back to the USA and we were living in a rented townhouse for a while. And then during that time, we really got settled into the school district and decided that we really wanted to stay here for the longer term. So last summer, we did end up finding and purchasing a house in our desired school district. It was a little bit outdated because the people who had been living here for almost 30 years. And so we also had to incur some major renovations, like switching out some smelly old carpets for hardwood floors, and that's not cheap. And then on top of putting in the hardwood floors, we also had to purchase furniture and housewares and some decorations for our new house. And then on top of those expenses, we also incurred some unexpected dental and medical expenses, like we had to get braces for my oldest son. And then we also got him some special contacts that are supposed to slow down the progression of nearsightedness. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I have really, really bad eyesight. I wear contacts. I'm a -9 in this eye and a -8 in this eye. And it seems like his eyes, they're kind of getting really, really bad, really, really fast, way faster than the doctor would expect. And so we're trying this particular brand of contacts that's supposed to slow down the progression of myopia, but those are more expensive than regular contacts. And then another thing we were putting more money into this past year was getting my kids rolled into various sports or experiences where they could kind of settle into our new school district and our new neighborhood and make some new friends, which has been fantastic, and it's also expanded my social circle as well. Once you've audited your spending, the second step is optional, but if you know that you tend to overspend in certain categories, then it might be helpful for you to count how many items you purchased in that category or how much you ended up spending in total in said category. So I know that a lot of you have told me that clothing is something that you struggle with and you want to work on not spending so much money on clothes and shoes in the year ahead. So then what I did as an example for you is I went through all of my clothing purchases from the past year and I wrote down what each of them was. I didn't take note of the price because I wasn't out here buying like luxury brands or designer stuff, but that's totally something that you could do while you're going through your records. So when I was going through my clothes, here are all of the items that I purchased in the past year. I got 2 workout tank tops that are the same brand. I got one that was white and one that was tan. And even though these are technically workout shirts, I like to wear them in the summer by themselves or layer them under other items in cooler weather. So I've gotten a lot of use out of these. I also purchased a black bathing suit when we went back to Germany to visit my in-laws during the summer because I had an orange bikini that was a bit old, but I had gained some weight and it no longer fit me as well. And then also the strap was kind of broken in the back and was kind of in danger of busting open. So I purchased a really cute black swimsuit that I felt much more comfortable in. And I also got a beige half zip long sleeve shirt for cooler weather, as well as a long sleeve hoodie that was fuzzy on the inside to go along with my fuzzy pants that helped keep me warm in the very, very cold winter. And then I also purchased a fuzzy wearable blanket that I wear in the mornings when I wake up and the temperature is turned down. And then my final purchase of the year was some Spanx leggings that I found at Goodwill that were, I think, around $100 if you buy them brand new, but I got them for only $5. And that was because I had been losing some weight and I just wanted to have something a little bit tighter and more form-fitting. So I decided to treat myself when I found those. So all in all, I bought a grand total of 7 clothing items in the past year, and you could do this with clothing, or you could do it with shoes, or you could do it with books if you're someone who tends to over purchase books, or purses, or makeup or skincare products. Especially if you're someone who knows that they spend a lot but isn't really clear on how much, this can be really, really helpful to put a magnifying glass over your spending. Next up, we have step 3 on this list, which is to set your intentions for the year ahead, aka finding your why. Figuring out your why and setting your intentions for what you're trying to accomplish with your no-buy or low-buy year is really, really helpful, especially when your motivation runs dry and things get a little bit tough, because it acts like a North Star that you can use to guide you and keep your eyes locked on the path that you're trying to forge ahead, just like a compass helping people who are lost on the trail of life. A lot of people set intentions around saving money or paying off debt, but your intentions don't have to be only financial. For example, it could be that you want to try to live more sustainably and create less waste. You want to spend less on fast fashion and more on ethical and sustainable brands and just buy less clothes overall. I know that a lot of you watching these videos are also trying to declutter your home and simplify your life as well. And I can tell you from personal experience, when you reduce or completely eliminate the inflow of stuff coming into your home, it's going to be so much easier for you to declutter your home, get all of that excess stuff out, and then keep it at an equilibrium where maintaining your highly simplified home is super, super easy. So like I said, this is something that my husband and I were chatting about as the year ended and the new year began. And our whys that we landed on were, first of all, to replenish our savings, which, like I said, after buying a house, buying furniture, doing renovations, all of that, we just like to boost our savings back up a little bit more. And then we also want to free up money and save towards some planned expenses that we have coming up, such as we know that we're going to have to repaint the outside of our house, which isn't something that we can do ourselves, as well as some outdoor and gardening projects that we need to tackle in the year ahead. So we want to start setting aside some of that money, probably in a high yield savings account, so that we can start building up our savings towards that, as well as earn interest on the money that we're saving towards that. And I'll make sure to link some HYSAs down in the description box below for you if you're interested in checking that out, because I know that a lot of you don't know about HYSAs, and they are so, so helpful when you have money that you don't really want to put into the stock market because you need it for an upcoming goal that you're saving towards, but you don't want to just leave it in a regular bank account where they basically give you chump change. So be sure and check the description box below if you have some projects like that you're saving towards. And another thing we want to do is we want to be able to travel more as a family, and ideally that would mean one stateside trip per year, as well as one international destination, for a total of 2 travel experiences that we can share with our boys each year. And finally, the last goal is kind of a big one, and that is that we want to focus on selling excess inventory that we already have versus buying new items. So when we moved into this house, the owners left behind some rather large stereo and audio equipment. And even though it's quite old, it seems to be pretty high quality. So we've been meaning to sell it. And I actually went through and I looked at all of the things and tried to kind of get an idea of how much they're worth and catalog them by name and description. So one of my big goals for this year is to figure out how the heck I'm going to sell this stuff, because it is quite large and bulky and heavy in some cases. And I have absolutely no experience with audio equipment or selling stuff like that. Although I have had experience selling online on sites such as eBay and Facebook Marketplace. So I'm hoping that I can kind of figure out a way to get this stuff sold, put that money into our pocket, and clear out some extra space in our lower level so that we can actually focus on playing ping pong and having fun down there instead of running into old and bulky stereo equipment. And I've also been meaning to experiment with selling on Poshmark for a while, because I've done a few wardrobe declutters and I have another wardrobe declutter planned in the near future. So I would like to do an experiment where I try to sell on Poshmark and see how much money I make doing that. And I think that I'm going to be running that challenge in either February or March of this year. So stay tuned, because I hope to be sharing some updates and results on that soon. Next up, let's dive into how to set rules and exceptions for your no-buy or low-buy year. Benjamin Franklin once said that those who fail to plan, plan to fail. And I think this is especially true if you're doing a long-term spending challenge like an entire year. So what I did was I used my free Notion account to set up a simple template where I can track my low-buy rules and exceptions, which you can see here. And the rules and exceptions that I set for myself include that it's okay for us to spend money on necessities like groceries, bills, toilet paper, etc. And I also said that it's okay for us to purchase things that wear out, break, or need to be replaced. One rule that you may or may not want to include, depending on if you're doing a low buy or a no buy, is one around eating out. So I said that it's going to be okay for us to eat out once per week as well as for birthdays or holidays. Now, this is something that I would do differently. If we were doing a 1-month no-buy challenge, I would completely eliminate that exception, but that's not something that I want to do for an entire year, nor do I need to do it. We already kind of tend to stick to this, but I'm setting a firmer boundary around this, that we're only allowed to eat out once, or if it's for a special occasion like someone's birthday or for a holiday, for example. It's also okay if we spend on medical or dental expenses or emergencies, as well as to spend on birthday parties and gifts for friends. And then I also made the exception that I still want to be able to spend on pre-planned projects that I was already thinking of doing. So for example, I was already planning to make a video about tackling closet organization in my boys' bedroom because their closet drives me crazy. And then I also have some things that I haven't done here in my desk area because this is my home office area, and I have some stuff that I need to put up on the walls that I haven't quite gotten around to purchasing yet. But I'm definitely going to be trying to stick to a budget for these projects, probably keeping it under $100, if not under $50 or $25. Okay, so somehow the next part of the video got deleted, but you can see here all of the LowBuy rules and exceptions that I wrote and what is allowed with the thumbs up emoji next to it and the red X for things that are not allowed down below. And then I also downloaded the Notion app to my phone so that not only can I pull this up to look at and remind myself when I'm on the go and I'm feeling like I want to buy something on impulse or spend money that I know that I shouldn't be spending, as well as track expenses that are planned but that I do incur in this little chart that I have made down here. And on that same Notion template, I also wrote down a list of 25 things that I'm not going to be buying in the year ahead. And I plan on making an entire video on that topic next week. So be sure that you're subscribed with all notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on that video and all of the other helpful videos that I share here on my channel each week around topics such as decluttering, minimalism, and frugal living. I do so appreciate all of your likes, comments, subscribes, and support. And finally, my last tip for you is to look for ways to stay inspired and have fun with this challenge. A year is a pretty long time, and a lot can happen over 365 days. And the people who are most successful tend to be the ones who go into a challenge like this with a positive attitude and flexible mindset. Thinking like a Debbie Downer and moaning and groaning about how hard it is not to spend money is a surefire way to make yourself miserable for an entire year. But on the other hand, people who challenge themselves to find free ways to have fun and who pat themselves on the back for not buying new shoes are more likely to succeed with their no-buy or low-buy goals. If you've made it this far, please do me a favor and comment down below to let me know whether you're doing a low buy or a no buy challenge and what your goals and intentions are for the year ahead. And if you're looking for more tips and ideas on saving money, budgeting, or no spend challenges, be sure and go check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks that you'll like, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye bye.